we have all been there, right? You're on a phone call that starts with a tiny problem and just spirals into total frustration. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to master those difficult calls and turn all that chaos into a calm resolution.
I mean, just listen to that. That's a real quote from a real call. It's so raw, it's emotional, and hearing that, it immediately puts you on the back foot. Your first instinct is probably to just shut down or get defensive. But what if I told you that moment of pure anger is actually an opportunity? Let's dive into why.
So, first things first, let's really get into what's happening when a call starts to spiral out of control. The absolute key is to shift your focus away from your own reaction and try to see it from their perspective. What are they really feeling in that moment?
Look, behind that first big explosion of anger, there's usually this whole messy mix of other emotions. They're probably confused about how they even got into this mess. They might be a little embarrassed about having a debt or even just needing to ask for help. And you can bet they are incredibly frustrated. Just recognizing these feelings bubbling under the surface, that's your first step to bringing the temperature down.
When you hear these questions, don't just hear anger. These are signals. They're like little signposts pointing you directly to the source of all that confusion and frustration. How did I get this debt is really a cry for clarity. And why did you take my money? Well, that's all about feeling powerless. These are the threads you can start to pull on to gently unravel the whole knot.
Okay, so the customer is venting. They're not stopping for air, and you can just feel the pressure building. Your instinct is to jump in and talk over them, right? But the real solution, the first step to actually taking control of the situation, is the complete opposite. It's the art of listening.
This is a super simple but incredibly effective technique. It's called repeating and rephrasing. Now, you're not agreeing with them, you're not disagreeing with them, you're simply clarifying what you heard them say. This does two amazing things. It shows them you're actually paying attention, and it gives them a chance to correct you. It's a game-changing foundational move. And here's what that looks like in the real world. The customer lays out their problem. Instead of just a flat, okay, you rephrase it with a positive spin, and you add a thank you. You're acknowledging their goal to resolve things, and you're thanking them for it. It seems so small, but that tiny shift in language is incredibly powerful.
And this isn't just about being polite for the sake of it. No way. This simple act of acknowledgement has real, tangible payoffs. It immediately lowers the tension in the conversation. It makes them way more likely to cooperate. And, maybe most importantly, it starts to build trust. And trust, that's the bedrock you need to solve any problem together.
So rephrasing is awesome for getting a call started on the right foot. But what do you do when things are already a total dumpster fire? For that, you need something a little more advanced. You need the snatch and flip.
Ah, the million-dollar question, isn't it? The customer is just on a roll, they're ranting, they're repeating the same things over and over, and you literally cannot get a word in. You feel completely powerless. So how do you break that cycle without just making everything a million times worse?
The answer is this really smart, structured method. But the snatch and flip is way more than just a clever communications trick. It's a psychological technique designed to shift the entire dynamic of the call. It's all about finding their deepest frustration and using that exact thing as the pivot point to steer the conversation towards a solution.
So here's how it works. It's 3 simple steps. First, you have to truly listen. Listen through the rant to figure out what the real problem is. Second, you pinpoint the recurring theme, that one thing that's making them the most upset. And third, that's your moment. You snatch that specific topic and you flip the conversation by asking how you can help with that one thing. So what are you even listening for in that hurricane of words? Well, it almost always boils down to one of these 3 things. Do they feel like their time has been wasted? Have they lost money, like that person in our opening quote? Or are they just completely overwhelmed by frustration? Once you figure out which one is their hot button, boom, you've got your target for the snatch.
Okay, so we've got some killer techniques in our toolbox, but now let's just zoom out for a second and talk about the overall mindset here. Because taking back control doesn't mean what you might think. It's not about being the boss of the call. It's about becoming the guide. It's a whole philosophy.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. You don't get control by barking orders or demanding it. You earn it. You earn it by listening strategically and gently redirecting. It's almost like conversational jujitsu, right? You use their own energy to guide the conversation somewhere productive.
And I really want to stress this. None of these techniques are about tricking the customer or brushing their problem under the rug. Not at all. The goal is to cut through all the noise, to acknowledge the real issue, and to clear a path so you can find a solution. Together, you're becoming their partner.
Which brings us to one last thought. Who really holds the power in a difficult conversation? At first glance, you might think it's the person who's yelling the loudest. But once you have these techniques, you realize the power actually lies with the person who knows how to listen, how to understand, and how to turn all that frustration into a shared goal. The real power is with the problem solver.